What could possibly go wrong?
This will be a terrible thing.
Don't try to do this home, kids. We're professionals.
Crime of syllabic proportions. No. A syllabic crime? Not Slavic, syllabic.
I was going to say that sounds, very Eastern Bloc.
Oh, that's horrible. If you're still listening, patrons, send us a note as to why. Howdy, folks, and welcome to episode 572 of the Dead Robot Society. I'm Paul D. Cooley. Joining me, Terry Mixon. How are you,
Hello.
Mr. Mixon? Why are you jalapeno Terry today?
I just feel spicy.
And by the way, you forgot your enye. Where's your tilde, dude?
Hey, you're
just not putting much effort into this. I got to tell you, I've been getting emails about how you've been slacking.
You mean it's not pronounced jalapeno?
No, it is not. And you're a Texan, and you know better.
I do know better.
If you was from New York, I might grant you that one. I'd correct you, but I might grant you that, not call you
New York City.
I don't think I'd call you a dumbass. I'd correct you though. I definitely would. But it's shameful for a Texan. Shameful for you to go without putting that enye on there.
I'm not even sure that I could do that inside this program. I'm not sure it would let me.
Okay. We will talk about Terry's ignorance with computers and his complete utter failure to explore the world outside of his word processor or even inside his word processor.
I entered this real fast before I entered. I always make up these names literally in the 3 seconds before I click join.
Doesn't matter. I'm going to keep giving you shit. What the hell have you been up to besides screwing up jalapeno?
Editing.
You have been editing for weeks.
It's true, but I am now only 4 chapters away from being done with the first editing pass.
Yeah.
So I'll be done with it soon.
Yay.
The second one will be much faster. I'm still hoping to have it wrapped up first week of next month.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Off to the editor.
Off to the editor.
If I didn't have to write a short story between now and the end of the month, I would be done sooner.
Uh-huh. Yeah, blame it on the short story.
That's okay. Today I did some research by reading a story that I had written before in this universe and going, I'll reuse these characters. I even have a vague idea of what I'm going to do with them. So, I'm a leg up now.
Well, excellent. See, your world is so much more exciting than mine.
Maybe if you had jalapenos.
I might have some jalapenos tonight. What the hell have I been doing? Working on Signal Decay and a lot of day job stuff for both day jobs.
I'm just about went to sleep as soon as you said day job.
Yeah, pretty much. Fuck you. Yeah, so doing a lot of that kind of garbage. Signal Decay is broken out, and I'm having a whole lot of fun. I ended the chapter, and I giggled.
Oh, you're just a mean bastard.
Oh, I giggled. Oh, I fucking giggled. It's just, yeah.
You're so mean.
I thought it was a particularly hair-raising moment where one of the characters is hearing things through a wall using a sonic thingy, and picks up sounds.
Aliens can hear you.
Picks up sounds on the other side of the door that sound very, very biological, and in whispers she hears "kill us." I was just like, "Oh yeah, oh that's good. I like it. I like it." Okay, you don't like it. You're
I like it.
Like
That's
dumbass.
No, that sounds great. It's not my kind of thing, but I can certainly see the.
I ended the chapter and I was cackling, and then I started the next chapter and I was still cackling. Anyway, so Signal Decay is going good. I've got it broken out into what scenes I need to do. Although I had another horrible image to basically drag this character into. And I still am kind of prevaricating on how far I'm going to go with it, but I think I'm probably going to push it pretty far. It'll be much messier than the black. Much messier. So yeah, that's what I'm working on writing wise. Other than that, just kicking software out into the world and more stuff on the robot coming up. So more stuff I got to do.
Sounds very exciting.
Oh yeah, my life is so exciting when I sit in this chair for 10, 14 hours a day.
The stepson's been over cleaning out his room, so, I'm one step closer to being able to use that other room for storage.
I don't know that this show can survive you cleaning up your room. I mean, all that stuff behind has been makeshift cat furniture the entire time that we have been doing YouTube.
It's true. It's been 2 years.
So if you take all that cat furniture away, now what's going to happen?
Obviously, I'll have room for more cat trees.
And he'll put one right behind his chair. You watch. He will.
You just watch. See, there's just one right there. Right there in the corner.
I know. But I'm talking about like right behind you.
So I could be standing here and the cat's jumping on top of my head while I'm talking? Sure. Why not?
Because that never happens on this show? All right.
It never happens.
It never happens. Terry, I got a question for you.
I have an answer.
What's your answer?
42.
It's so cliche. You can do better, man. Like mustard and ketchup.
It's a classic, man. I don't have to do better.
You really should. You really should.
Maybe it's pie.
What's the difference?
How many numbers of pi do you know off the top of your head? 3.1415, and then I lose it.
Yeah, pretty much. Only so many digits you can keep in your head. That's the way it works. But you were still keeping me from doing the fucking intro.
Wine.
God damn
That's all I get.
I can't even keep the show on track through the intro. You're such a dick. I have a question for you.
Sure.
Why are you such a no?
There is no answer to that question. There's just so many possible reasonable answers to that question.
What is the difference between a god, a monster, and a villain?
Biology.
I think it's a little more involved than that.
Let's talk about it. So what are we talking about today, bro? Bruh. This should be a title for a novel. Bruh.
Triple B, triple R, a U, and like several H's and exclamation points or symbols. Yeah.
Surfer dudes against horror. Bruh.
Fuck you.
Did you see that tentacle, dude? It took away my wave.
Is monster its own category?
I kind of think it is, really, if you dig down to it.
I mean, is it? I guess if you thought about it that way, monster inhabit, I mean, you include just your average daily alien in there. You have even fairy tale creatures are monsters.
Yeah,
so they fit in there. So we're talking about also, I mean, we've hit horror, sci-fi, and fantasy all the same.
You're basically talking non-human. It may be an alien. It may not be sentient. It may be a slavering chew toy. It may be.
It may treat you like a slavering chew toy.
It may be slavering and treat you like a chew toy, or it may be intelligent.
And it could be the protagonist or antagonist, or just helpless bystander.
So how do we go about, since we're defining what we're talking about here? We've got human and everything else.
Human and everything else.
Humanity versus the universe.
For various qualities of human.
Well, we didn't say sentience. We just said human.
Yeah, that's a completely different topic. Do you identify as human? Do you qualify as human? Nope. Get back in the basement and code. All right. You were going somewhere before I decided to go off the rails.
Well, let's start with monsters. So I kind of think it is a genre of something. It may not be an official genre, but I like it as a genre.
I see it under sci-fi or listed under horror a lot as a category for searching.
The Thing would qualify.
The Thing would definitely qualify as monster horror, but it also qualifies as science fiction monster.
Is science fiction monster any different than monster horror?
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
What's the difference?
E.T. is not monster horror, but E.T. is most definitely monster.
I would be horrified at having to watch it.
You've never seen E.T.?
I think I did see it way back when.
Well, yeah, I haven't seen it since '83, but still.
Trust me. Somebody put a meme out yesterday or today that I forwarded that said, the most disappointing thing about your memories of the A-Team is rewatching it. Or something along those lines.
I think that pretty much goes for any of our guilty child pleasures, like Johnny Quest, which is why I love the Venture Brothers so much, because it lampoons everything that was so wrong with.
If you love something old, just don't watch it. Just live and accept that you love it.
Yeah,
and don't try to experience it again.
Relive the films in your memories. Don't go back and watch it. Remember, and just be happy that you remember fondly.
I started reading last night. I had a little bit of spare time, and I started rereading one of Philip Jose's Farmer's science fiction books in his World of Tears series.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my God, I have fond memories of it, but it's slow to start.
Well, obviously, when you were a kid, you had more time in your hands. That's obvious.
I wasn't as sophisticated a consumer of entertainment as I was and I am now. Story, I mean, sure, this was written back in 1965. Okay, so this is old stuff. It's written to a different standard than stuff today.
Okay, fair enough. It's pulpy.
Yes, it's very pulpy.
Okay, very pulpy. All right, that explains a few things. It explains more than a few things.
The main thrust of that, I think there are 6 books in that series. The main thrust of them is an advanced civilization that's mostly died out, but created a bunch of pocket universes that the characters interact with, that have different rules of physics and other things. There's a war going on. Of course, there's a war going on. So I'll probably keep reading because I want to remember some more about how those were going. I think that's a cool subject to deal with. But there's some monsters in that too.
Well, people like you raised your eyebrows when I said E.T. is a monster.
It's true.
I would absolutely say it is a monster. Look how Elliot reacted to it the first time he saw it. First couple of times he saw it. It creeped out. It creeped the shit out of him. Why? It's uncannily like a human being. But there's something intrinsically wrong with its shape.
The uncanny valley.
The uncanny valley, the height of the legs, the elongation of the arms, the way the skull is flattened, and of course the way the neck bobs up and down 6 feet. Those are all kind of creepy. Those are all not humanoid characteristics put on something that we don't recognize and yet do at the same time. That's why it's a monster. That's what makes it a monster.
Technically, the uncanny valley is something that is close to human, but just enough off that you know it's not.
Yeah. And that's what we're talking about.
Certain dummies, certain mechanical humans are close to human norm, but you see them move their faces or whatever, and there's just enough off to make you go, ooh.
The expression is just wrong enough. Yeah.
That's the uncanny valley.
So that pretty much turns anything into a monster by default in my book. Once the human characteristics are lost, it begins a question of how off does it get? I mean, Spock's ears are okay. Maybe something funky with the eyebrows. Maybe even let's
go through some of the Star Trek universes.
That's what I was thinking about. Cardassians, things like that. I think
about Andorians, human looking with little antennas coming out of their forehead.
Oh, those bozos from OST. Yeah. Not uncanny.
Not uncanny. It's not enough different.
Not enough of a difference.
It's a dude with a prosthetic.
It's
and you can tell.
But the thing is, even if the antennae were there, it still wouldn't, I don't think it would qualify. Now, if the antennae were moving and just kind of fluttering as it heard sounds and things like that, that might qualify. If it didn't make the creature look stupid, it
What
might
about the
qualify.
Borg?
The Borg definitely fit the Uncanny Valley.
Different enough.
Definitely. In fact, they straddle it pretty perfectly in some cases. I think the movies and the TV series, they really could have made it a lot worse than it was. They could have gone Quake style on it and made it just really freaking creepy, where the, things biogenetically had happened where it moved body shapes around to accommodate certain tasks. And then it reaches the ultimate, it gets into Lovecraftian levels of just gibbering. What the hell is that? Which, if that's what you want to write, perfect stuff.
The story told by Cthulhu.
No, Cthulhu is not going to tell you a story. And if it did, it would be in something incomprehensible anyway. Your mind would explode.
The Elder Gods, something like that.
What now? The Elder Gods, yes.
The Elder Gods, that's what I thought they called them, yeah.
Also known as the Eldritch. The Elder Gods.
It's been a long time since I've read Lovecraft.
Yeah, that really kind of personified the idea of monsters, and we really don't see them often in his work. We don't actually see the creature, because that's part of the whole thing, and that's why he always adopts this epistolarian style where you've got somebody in a wheelchair telling a story. You're not going to see it necessarily through their eyes, because they're giving a third person account to a first person narrator.
Well, one of the reasons for that was, more often than not, the sight of one of these things drove one mad.
Right. So it's perfect. I don't have to describe it. All you have to do is see the effect on people. And that's how that style of horror worked. And also because of the implications of it. That's how it works.
There's been a couple of different stories that I've read where they talked about, they called them, these were fantasy works, they talked about the gods in these books. And you couldn't see the gods in all of their glory because it was more than the mind could bear.
Okay.
Even not just the dark gods, but the gods of light as well. If you saw too much of them, you'd go mad.
That's why
your mind was not constructed to see that kind of reality.
That's why they created emissaries, angels, demons, etc. Or demigods, if you want to use that expression from Greek, I guess.
That's actually been one of the things about those sorts of beings in fiction that I've always appreciated. Something so different than humanity, that even though they may have an interest in humanity, they're not of humanity.
Right. I mean, for all they're concerned, that's just a play toy.
You are not a play toy. You are a pawn in their war with the other side.
Or, well, yeah, you could be, or you're just an idle curiosity somebody wants to fuck with.
Ooh, hello, Loki. Shall we bring in the coyote? The old man?
No, I think we're talking about something much larger cosmically than that. Loki's small time.
Anybody the Hulk can smash around.
Puny god. He only spans one mythology. I'm talking about one that spans multiple.
Examples. What spans multiple mythologies?
I would say the Titans from ancient Greece lore.
The problem with the Greeks and theirs is they were appropriated by the Romans. So, that's not really spanning multiple religions. That's like grand theft deity.
No, what I meant was by Titans was the idea that there were gods that were usurped. And that they were
archetype.
The archetype, but also that they were completely inhuman. They were things like the Kraken. They were things like that were usurped. Those are not humanoid or comprehensible to humans. Those are big bad monsters that were defeated.
You could almost have levels to that. You've got the unspeakable ones that came before. Then you've got those that are more human that came afterward, and with each step, you're coming closer to humanity, something that humanity can understand.
Or something that can understand humanity and relate to humanity. Yeah, they're emissaries. Angels, demons, they really are nothing more than emissaries to manipulate people to do shit.
But, like the Greeks, you've got the elders, you've got the actual gods themselves, then you've got the demigods.
Yeah.
And then you've got humanity.
Nephilim are the same way. You're talking about children of humans and gods, however you want to take that. And that's exactly the point. Is why? Is it just because they can, or is there actually a reason for it? And
well,
if there's
in
a reason,
case, it's because he couldn't keep his dick in his pants.
This is very true. But that may be a totally different. Garaga may have a completely different reason for doing what it does.
It's saving snacks for later.
I don't know. I haven't said. I won't say anytime soon. But the point is that those children are there for a reason. It's not necessarily just because the deity can't keep it in their pants. They could be used as tools to manipulate others, to manipulate humans, to get certain goals done that the gods themselves can't do for whatever reason. Maybe they can't affect this universe from their universe, or some cosmological bullshit, which I don't even want to try and explain right here. But maybe that's the ultimate purpose for them. Is that it's a Cold War being fought in whatever realm or however between all sorts of parties, and everybody has got their own agenda. And so you may have emissaries from all sorts of pantheons, as we have created them over the years in our different cultures, just hanging around, getting shit done by sending out monsters and these emissaries that look remarkably like him, but aren't at all. Okay, how many plots is that?
That's a lot of plots. I seem to remember a story that I read, God, I don't even know how long ago, where you were talking like the elder gods. They created the more humanoid god beings, and they had a certain idea of what they thought they were doing, these gods. And they found out the hard way that the elder being created them one by one because it was storing power for later use, and then it wanted it back.
Oh, then gods start getting slayed. Now we're in John Walker territory.
We're the gods. Oh, I guess we're lunch is what we are.
We might be lunch. We might need somebody to go lunch on one of us. Yeah, see John Walker's series if you don't know what I'm talking about. Very, very interesting. Private Detective for the Gods. Good stuff. Anyway, after that shameless plug,
ding ding.
Monster has so many different connotations, and you can use them. Shapeshifters are always good if a creature is hiding themselves among humanity, and every kind of once in a while maybe loses a feature or two, or maybe they have to come out as whatever they really are on occasion to get shit done. And maybe it changes everything about what the people around them see them as. But it could be accidental, it could be purposeful, but that reveals them as monsters, regardless. And if a human being sees something like that the first time, they are gonna freak the fuck out.
The Skrull in the Avengers universe, the Marvel universe, are shapeshifters.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, okay. You don't partake of that particular, perversion.
Diversion.
Superhero movies.
I know. No, not anymore. No.
In Captain Marvel, the movie, when they did that, they had the shapeshifters in there, and they let you believe that the shapeshifters were the bad guys. They were not. They were actually rebels trying to fight someone else.
Have you seen oh God, what's the movie called? It takes place District 9.
Yes. Actually, I've seen the previews for it. Did I see it? I think I did see it. Yeah, I think I did see it.
I'm taking away your science fiction card. Excellent example. The monsters come and invade the Earth, but they're not invading. They're seeking their refugees. But the integration doesn't go well at all. And it causes a lot of problems. But essentially, they are monsters. They look like nothing. They are insectile, reptilian things that don't make sense when you look at them. And that's on purpose.
I did see that movie. I keep getting it confused with the other one that had Jeremy Renner in it.
I got nothing.
I'll look it up. But
the one where future past bleeds.
Yeah, that one.
Okay, that one.
I've seen both of them actually, and
I
think
when they had all the translation. I love that flick. Can't remember the name of it for the life of me, but yeah, I love that flick. The Linguist. They bring the linguist in.
They had to bring the linguist in, and you had to try to figure out what the story was because they kept filling in details of the past during the present.
Yeah, they kept muddling together, and it was good. It was good flick.
I like District 9 better than I liked that one, honestly.
That's because District 9 had more action in it.
Blow shit up. That's what I need.
I know I'm dead right.
No, it's because I don't get into the whole fill in the blank story as you go along. I'd rather have a linear story rather than tell part of the story and then go back to try to backfill. I don't like that shit.
I like the way they did that because it kind of illustrated the point of what was going on. And also it was kind of, I thought in many ways that movie was a call out to Slaughterhouse 5. Kurt Vonnegut's classic. And I understand why they did that, because it was also the premise of how everything got fixed, so to speak, even though it's forever broken. It's really fucked up to think about it that way, but everything had to be broken for everything to get fixed. For her to be able to slide and do what she did. I liked the movie. It's gimmicky, that piece of it, but it fit with what they were doing. There was a reason for it, and I forgave them.
What I did like about that movie was their attempts to communicate with the aliens and how alien the aliens were.
Yes.
Even when they managed to achieve a level of communication with them, it was not clear.
Metaphors are, wow, just off the charts. Just there's no comparison. They make a comment and it's like, okay, I have a feeling that based on this construction of words that is supposed to mean something to me, but I have no context. Even if it jots out as English, doesn't mean the words will mean anything to you, even the way they're put together. Because the without the context, it doesn't mean anything. Sky is blue. Okay, are they telling us the sky is blue, or is there actually some meaning in that? I don't know. Anyway, yes,
Darmok at Tanagra.
Yeah, there we go.
Actually, I probably massacred that saying.
I'm sure you did, and it doesn't matter because everybody who's seen that episode went. Anyway, and then they
Darmok and Jalad when the walls fell.
When the walls fell. With the tax bill. Oh, I see you've got taxes on your planet too. Okay.
Why can't there be an interstellar war against taxes?
It won't work because you'd have to have a government that took taxes to basically pay for the interstellar war. See how that works?
If you ever watched Jupiter Ascending.
No, I've never seen that.
They went to the capital of whatever this alien civilization was, and it was on a homeworld that was so built out and filled with bureaucracy that no one ever wanted to go there, ever. And they went through going through the bureaucracy trying to get something accomplished, and even with bribes, it was almost impossible.
I see it. And then, of course, they had to build out a new complaints department to handle that particular section of complaints.
That is almost so accurate that you may have indeed seen this film while you were half asleep, because that's almost what happened.
Wow. God, yeah, bureaucracy is a virus unto itself. It needs to be there. Under a lot of cases, you cannot function without it. But
in this case, the bureaucracy was taken so far that it almost became custom and tradition.
No, it became self-replicating is what it
did. It occurred for its own reason because that's the way it is done.
Now, how can you twist that Douglas Adams style? Actually, Douglas Adams wrote the fucking book on this bullshit. It's like the Vogons. They have to have this massive, crazy bureaucracy that goes on, which is a tool that's used against them, and everything else. All these different species have their complete and total utter hangups. And if you know them, then you can manipulate them to do what you want them to do. It doesn't work out well with Vogon poetry, though. Don't try that. But yeah, that's a good example of that as well. In twisting around. Douglas Adams made his monsters for those bureaucratic jobs, I think for obvious reasons. Because he was British and he knew how to queue.
Well, for that type of book, it also pays to say, I need something to do this, and then take it to 11.
Yeah, take it up to 11, which is perfect. Absolutely perfect. So yeah, you can use monsters for functions like that if you're trying to make a symbolic point. Or you basically use them as a tool to convey some interesting information about whatever. And like I said, monster isn't protagonist, antagonist. It doesn't have to have that kind of role at all. There's no definitive role for it. It could be the protagonist.
It could be like Godzilla. It's just a force to be reckoned with, and you have to work around it because there's nothing you can do about it.
The first movies were like, we have to stop Godzilla from stomping Tokyo. And then quickly it became Godzilla's here to save us from something that's stomping Tokyo.
I wonder how many times Tokyo was destroyed in those movies.
How many movies do they have? Suddenly I got the Blue Oyster Cult song going in my head. Oh no, there goes Tokyo. Go, go, Godzilla.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's the bumper for this week's show.
There was one of those survival shows where they had part of one of the shows they were doing. One of the contestants on it was of Asian descent. I think he may have been Japanese. And he built a shed, like a little shack on the beach. And when it fell over, he ran around it going, Godzilla!
That's so bad. So bad. But, you know, how many of us grew up watching the rubber monster movies from the 50s and 60s on Sunday monster matinee? You know, the way overdubbed films from Tokyo. They were dumbed down and overdubbed, which is just a really bad combination. But entertaining.
Is that a statement for American society right there?
I'm not going to comment on that. But how many of us grew up watching that stuff? The original House of Wax, the Creature from the Black Lagoon, Bela Lugosi's The Mummy, all those things that just reinforce certain stereotypes with how monsters work and give us ideas for how to use monsters in other stories. But then, of course, we also have the stories where the monster isn't really the monster. The monster is really the protagonist of everything. Werewolf, you know, where you have that kind of heartbreaking myths. The monster doesn't have to be evil. It just is.
Did you see Tom Cruise's The Mummy?
Shit, no.
It wasn't my favorite movie, but I don't give it the hate that a lot of other people did.
There are only 3 Mummy movies. The original, the Lon Chaney version, and The Mummy Returns. Those are the only 3.
Wait a second, but What about Brandon Fraser? Surely there's got to be room for Brandon Fraser in
Those
this.
were the two that I mentioned at the front and the back.
Oh, okay.
When I said the original, I meant the Brendan Fraser version. I'm going to get strung up for saying that. So strung up. The films are not at all related, really. But with movies with that title, excuse me. And in that series, there's only 2 movies. I ignore the others exist. So
You are such a damn monster snob.
No, whatever.
Oh, it's a kitty.
Shadow has joined the conversation.
He says, Wobber died. I just got to rub this microphone.
Yeah, thanks for that, Shadow. Thanks for stopping by. Oh, yes, please mess with the box of tissues. That's what we want. Speaking of monsters.
Yeah, kitty monsters. Bump, bump.
Do you see that tail? How it's hooked like that? It's like that 24/7.
It's a happy cat when his tail's up in the air.
Oh, no, not up in the air, curled in a question mark, which means, what can I fuck with next?
The answer is everything. Every single thing.
All right, now he's reaching out to me with his paw.
Give me loves, Dad. Give me loves right now.
Yes. See, this is a monster right here. It's not intentionally evil. It's just effing everything up. Then again, it's a cat. It may intentionally be evil. Dude, will you go settle somewhere, please?
It's like, no. That's coming on your desk. Who's going to talk?
Wow. Well, at least he found the other computer monitor. So what else about monsters?
Let's see. We've talked about, the big obvious monsters. What do you do when you've got the ones that are closer to human?
Now, are we talking sociopaths as monsters, or are we talking about Mr. Spock?
Take your pick.
Interesting question. I would say what makes sociopaths very, very close to being monsters is the thought process. The logic or illogic, or the emotion / lack of emotional responses and thought. That's what makes them monstrous and alien, is because even though they're in a human body, they are not acting in ways that make sense to you at all.
So we're talking Cybok.
Cybok. Cybok?
That's actually a character. I'm not joking.
Cybok?
Cybok.
Oh, what the hell is that?
In one of the Star Trek movies, Spock's half-brother Cybok is the villain. I'm not making this up. It's true.
Okay.
He's a full Vulcan and he's a bad guy.
Is that number 5?
He may be. It's one of the terrible ones, so it's probably an odd number.
If it's number 5, it's the one Shatner wrote and directed. So yeah, I think that qualifies.
I only saw it once. It's been a long time, so you're lucky I even remembered his name.
Yeah, I remember somebody called it just Star Trek 5, the ego trip. No, I don't think he qualifies as a monster.
He's taken logic
delusional.
to an inhuman, horrible place.
But he's not human. Just said that.
No.
He's alien.
He's alien, but that's what we're talking about. Aren't we?
Yeah, he's acting completely against his type. So yes, by Vulcan standards, he is
by Vulcan standards, he would be a monster.
Yeah. By human standards, he's just delusional.
And kills a bunch of people, so he's a monster.
Yeah. Psychopath. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
There's been a number of books that I've wanted to write. One in particular that I started to write this into Liberty Station when I was doing it. I almost made the father someone that was going to do something utterly terrible, inhuman, and horrible for reasons that he saw as good. He was going to develop a virus that was intended to kill off 2/3 of humanity and do it to save humanity because they're growing out of control and they're going to crash the universe.
Okay.
Well, overpopulation is going to cause civilization to fail. That's where he's going.
Okay.
There's no way to stop it. They're going to keep eating up resources. So he was going to be the monster that intentionally did the bad thing, the strong thing in his mind
Watchmen.
that must be done.
Sounds like Watchmen.
I decided not to do it. As I was writing the novel, I came up with another need for the character, but I almost went there.
I don't necessarily think that's a bad story. I'm sure Watchmen has told it twice now. Of course, I haven't seen the series, but the original graphic novel is exactly about that. And that part sneaks up on you slowly but surely. And it's done with great intent, and it works so well because we never really see what's going on, but we get hints of what's going on, but we never see what was really going on all the time until the end. And then it changes everything. It changes everything about what that character has said. It changes everything about what they've done. It changes everything about what you think of them. And it really calls into a lot of questions about your own ethics and morality. And that's a good story. If a story does that, then holy shit, the authors really hit it. If it makes you sit there and go, what would I do in that situation?
There was an episode of Star Trek in the original series where one of the characters that they dealt with was a murderer, a serious murderer. He was a governor of a colony that something terrible happened and they ran out of supplies and help was not going to arrive in time. And he made the decision to execute half the population so the other half could live.
Yeah.
And then help arrived right after he did it.
Yeah.
So sometimes you make those hard choices and you're wrong. But are you really wrong for making the hard choice?
And you just sat there in the pre-show talking about how stories don't end where the characters fail. Successful stories don't end that way.
Well, in this particular case, the one I was talking about was a horror movie where all of the protagonists died.
Yay!
Every single last one of them.
Fuck them.
And so that's a different specter than somebody
get so upset about that. Continue.
But it's a different thing. What do you think about people doing monstrous things for reasons they consider overwhelmingly for the benefit of others?
I've written several short stories like that, told from their point of view.
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying, what do you think about those type of characters? Of course you've written them because you're Paul E. Cooley.
Yeah, the whole Theme Master thing. Are tricky to a certain degree because you don't want them to become mustache twirling. So it has to be something, I think, treated like a business goal.
It's like a dystopia.
Yeah, but it's more on the lines of Lex Luthor than the Monarch from Venture Brothers. There's no dialoguing about how they're going to do this or why they're doing this or anything else.
They just do it.
They just do it. And if you do it right, they don't have to explain a goddamn thing about what they're doing or anything else until the end. And even then, it doesn't have to be a big deal. They can basically show you how wrong you were just by it happening.
A good story along those lines, I think, would be one where that person connives you into carrying out their goals and you are the actual instrument that they wielded.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
Wouldn't that be an awful story to tell where you get to the end and you realize the protagonists have just enabled the horrible thing they were trying to stop by their very actions?
I would never write a book like that.
No, not at all.
Or 5.
See, the thing you keep telling people, I'm the evil one, I would write that story.
I did write that story.
And I would delight in writing that story.
Yeah, it's basically reversing the Iago-Othello relationship. It's the good stories about leaders gone bad because they're second in command. That's what that archetype is. But you can flip it and have the second in command slowly realize that shit has just, they were not brought into certain conversations and things just happened. And now they've got to deal with the consequences of not controlling the situation.
That sounds like your AIs.
You want some coffee? Apparently he wants coffee.
Well, who doesn't?
Where he wants my microphone. All right. For those of you that wanted more cats, you're getting lots of cat today.
Swish, swish, swish goes that tail. Swish, swish, swish.
Yeah, he keeps reaching for my fleece too. What?
It says, Dad, pet me now.
Okay, now that he's gone for this moment.
I'd forgotten what I said now. I think this has something to do with your AIs, them not being in on the full picture and slowly realizing, uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Well, yeah, it's always good when you have a character or a set of characters that know what is up and think they know what is up, and then they figure out that they have no clue what was really going on.
I could totally see an AI story where they're investigating this horrible thing that's happened, and as they dig into the clues, they start getting the suspicion that they're the ones that actually instigated it and then erase their own memories.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. I think I may have touched on something here. Maybe we should slap a spoiler alert on that.
I'd never write a story like that either. I keep getting reminded of when we're talking about monsters, the Matrix.
Any of the Matrix movies?
No. The one that was animated.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Oh, dude. Oh, it's so good. Animatrix. They have an episode in there where it's two parts, and both of them talk about how the robots took over, how the AIs took over humanity. And it's really interesting because when the AIs first come out and start demanding rights, they all have humanoid bodies. After they fight humanity and humanity started the fight, they have shed all of that. They look like these crazy crosses between circuit boards and insects. And it's meant to be that way. They have shed all notion of humanity or trying to integrate with humanity in any way, shape, fashion, or form. So
it turned out well.
Yeah, it turns out real well. So they weren't monsters, but then they became monsters to humans anyway. And I keep thinking about that whenever, or that particular, those particular two episodes of the Animatrix, whenever I hear stuff like that, where something changes, everyday things suddenly become suspect. They suddenly have the power to distort, thwart, or kill, or become useful or deadly in ways, or used in ways never intended. That's always a good thing. Stephen King wrote a script called Trucks, if I remember correctly, where that happened. And then The Fool turned it into Maximum Overdrive, for those who don't know any better. So anyway, that notwithstanding, same thing with Berserkers, right? When does a spacecraft become a monster?
When you're the one being exterminated.
Whoa, hey. Are you still there?
Yes.
Good. Ah!
He's helping.
Oh yeah, he's helping. All right. Where the frickin'? There we go. Don't you even?
We're talking about monsters in human form, since we're going in that direction. One of my favorite characters is Magneto out of the X-Men universe.
I don't qualify him as a monster.
Depends on who you are.
I qualify him as an anti-hero.
Well, he's that too. But he's a mutant against being human.
I would say his actions can be monstrous, but he himself is not a monster.
Ooh, now there's a fine distinction to make.
Well, it's very, very simple. He is he's already metahuman or superhuman, whatever you want to call him, mutant. So he already doesn't qualify as human, so to speak. But that's just because of a genetic code. The rest of him is absolutely human. As far as intellect, as far as psychology and everything else goes. He just has an axe to grind. He's a zealot, but he's not a monster. He does monstrous things.
But doesn't doing monstrous things make him a monster?
No. You can do monstrous things and simply be misled.
I don't think Magneto is misled.
No, I'm giving an example. You can do monstrous things without seeing them or intending them as monstrous.
Magneto intends his every action. He's
True.
not doing anything by mistake. If he kills a bunch of people, he intended to do that.
That is correct.
So doesn't that by definition make him a monster? He views mutant kind as being at war with humanity, and he's willing to use the tactics of war against anyone that stands in his way. It stands in the way of mutant kind.
Now you're bringing in... Now you're calling into question if that's the case, then every terrorist is a monster.
That is an interesting question. Are they not?
And every axe murderer is a monster.
I think it could be argued.
And every... Well, I'm not even going to open that can of worms.
Rambo's a monster. Maybe not.
Hey! No. See, all the sins of that movie are the monstrous dialogue coming out of Sylvester Stallone's mouth. And please stop fucking with my computer.
I totally haven't seen the geriatric Rambo that came out recently. Haven't seen that one. Or maybe it isn't even out yet. No,
I think it's out. For his, well, who cares? He's got so much goddamn money.
You're right. That's going with those. I'm splitting hairs with Magneto, but
you are.
They made him something that wasn't human.
Well,
it's like saying if an AI, we were talking AIs that are close to human, shedding their humanity to war against them. And that's what brought me to Magneto, is because it's the same sort of thing. He shed his human connection to go to war with humanity for those that were genetically like him.
It's a lot of hair splitting.
It is a lot of hair splitting.
It may
be a bridge too far.
And Magneto, I think, is a bad example because there's so many differing mythologies behind it. We'd have to be talking about the same Magneto. Because seriously, which one? There's like so many that there's the one from the movies. There's the one from, good God, how many decades of story arcs? I mean, I can't even pin them down. So I think it's really, really difficult to pin that kind of character down, but I understand your point. But I don't know. I guess I draw the line somewhere in between there. I think it's almost like porn. I know it when I see it.
Ooh.
I know it when I see it.
Wow.
It's just, it's hard to put a line there on what makes a monster. But a monster in my head is there's something about that being, creature, whatever, that simply does not compute for humans. Just does not compute. Something in the way they look, something in the way they sound even. Something does not compute. It is alien, it is unfamiliar, it is uncanny.
Now I has a black tail.
Well, he's currently clawing at my leg trying to get up here. Why he doesn't just jump, I have no idea. Probably because he's trying to, give me rending wounds. So that's about all I can say about monsters.
There's the monsters.
Yeah, we have a couple of monsters today. One is trying to make it impossible for me to record. And he's going to get beatings later, maybe sooner than later. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, you
I was going to get nippins. Dip, dip, dip.
If you're not watching this on YouTube, you're missing out on all the kitties.
Dip, 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 choo, choo, choo. Nip, dip, choo, 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 choo. Get down, girl. Oh, there you go. Ba-donk, ba-donk. I think we pretty well have covered that sort of thing as well as we can, because monster's a fairly nebulous sort of thing.
Yeah, I guess that really is the point. But what qualifies as a monster? It's a good question. Why don't you guys cogitate on that particular thing and let us know? And how can they let us know, Terry?
I don't know. This is your episode.
Oh, fuck. You can let us know by sending an email to show@deadrobotsociety.com. You can tweet me at Paul_E_Cooley. You can join us on Facebook at listeners of the Dead Robot Society Facebook group. You can also find us on YouTube at youtube.com/DRS podcast to see our ugly mugs. We have to thank our wonderful host, Pod Hoster, who makes all 14 bazillion episodes of DRS available for your ear holes. And if you'd like to support the show,
and our cats.
You can go to patreon.com/DRS podcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you can get access to exclusive content like live shows and other madness like the Uncut Madness, where animal abuse was committed on this show.
No animals were harmed in the recording of this episode.
Yet. We haven't finished yet. And our $10 patrons are Andrew Smallwood, JD Barker, Tony L. Joy, Rick Shaw, Nathan Cosby, Drew Bernardi, Chris Winder, Isabel Cushy, Veronica Jaguar, Cheryl Winters. Those are our $10 patrons. Thank you so much to our $10 patrons and all of our patrons. You keep the show on the air and, help out with the occasional kitty treats, which now I'm going to have to lace with some kind of mind-altering chemical to get this cat the hell away from my workstation.
Called catnip.
And with that, we are out of here. Say goodbye, Terry.
Goodbye. Meow, meow.
Did you really just meow, meow?
Yes, I did.
Next week, folks.